superior quality drink mix at an affordable price. Rasna Drink Mix. With over 5 delicious flavors to choose from, a 25-gram pack makes up to 1 liter of drink. There is no need to add sugar. Unlike other drink mixes, Rasna is made with all natural flavors and is low in sugar. It also contains 5 essential daily vitamins and minerals. Rasna Drink Mix is available nationwide. For more information, call us on 233-2473. Rasna, endorsed by celebrities.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burbies 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hello and welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. Compliments of Rasna Drink Mix. Before we get to the top stories we are tracking, let's get to the front page comment of today's Kaieteur News. Instead of putting us on the front line, foreigners throwing us on the breadline. Our governments keep drumming into our heads that foreign direct investment creates jobs and supports local businesses. Yet they have failed to make it mandatory for these foreign companies to hire local companies which will have the capability to supply goods and services required by foreign investors. When Aurora Gold Mines, a Canadian entity, decided to downscale its operations, it fired hundreds of local workers and terminated the contracts it had with many local firms who were supplying it with goods and services. Instead of placing our people on the front line, the company put them on the breadline. AGM then sold its operations and the rights to our gold to a Chinese firm, Jijin Mining Group. This deal allowed AGM to walk away with $238 million. The new owners also inherited all the duty-free and tax concessions from AGM. To add insult to injury, instead of utilizing the services of a local company which had previously done business with the AGM, Jijin instead contracted a Chinese firm to provide the same services. Local firms, instead of benefiting from foreign investment, are being shunted aside. These practices defeat the justification for foreign direct investment, creating jobs and supporting local businesses. Foreign companies come here and benefit from generous tax concessions. They rape our resources and exploit our workers. They profit handsomely by reselling the rights to these resources and concessions to other foreign firms, which then snub local workers and businesses. This is the reality of foreign direct investment in Guyana. Wake up, Guyana. It is time to bring an end to this crude and cruel exploitation of our workers and local businesses, and the plunder of our resources. It is time for us to take back control of our country's wealth. And now for the top stories we are tracking. Bloomberg exposes as world fights climate change, Exxon plans for massive increase in pollution. Hess sells out lucrative Gulf of Mexico oil field for Guyana, and APNU AFC's giveaway of prime lands, fourth developer joins in returning property. Meanwhile, government favors skills transfers from Chile over commodities imports. And GCOM Deputy CEO Roxanne Myers arrested for obstruction of justice. Stay tuned to stay informed.
If something doesn't look right, then there is something wrong. And if you suspect child abuse, then you must report it to the Child Care and Protection Agency. During this time more than ever, we have to be the eyes and ears of abused children across the country. So if you see it, or you know it, or even if you just think it's child abuse, then you must report it to the police or call the CPA hotline on 227-0979.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
And now for the news in detail. An expose by the New York-based publication Bloomberg shows that ExxonMobil is playing out a $210 billion 7-year investment strategy it knows will cause a steep surge in carbon dioxide emissions. The publication's analysis of leaked internal documents from the oil major shows it knows its emissions levels will rise 17% by 2025. Bloomberg says this is setting one of the largest corporate emitters against international efforts to slow the pace of warming. This increase is pegged as more emissions than the entire nation of Greece, due to the company's method of considering only greenhouse emissions from its direct operations. Bloomberg said the company's internal estimates only account for five times less than the company's full impact on the global climate. Though the COVID-19 pandemic has drastically reduced oil production, thereby emissions, the world over, Bloomberg pointed to public statements by Exxon that it is merely delaying the projects instead of cancelling them. In other news, Hess Corporation has announced that it has entered an agreement to sell out its stake in producing Gulf of Mexico oil field to raise capital for its Guyana investment opportunities. The move is just one of the many signals of the enviable position of Exxon, Hess, and CNOOC offshore Guyana. Together, the joint venture partners enjoy the world-class Stabroek Block, with crude at extremely low break-even prices and a lopsided contract in their favor. The sale, once completed before year-end, would have an effective date of July 1st, 2020, and will grant Hess $505 million. Hess is selling its 28% stake in the lucrative oil field to the Australian operator BHP Billiton. The operator already has a 44% stake in the block, alongside Repsol with 28%. And moving on, aimed at ensuring that it participates in transparent transactions, American Marine Incorporated has returned the 20 acres of prime Ogle lands which were controversially and illegally vested to them by the APNU-AFC regime. The lands were transferred during the protracted and contentious March 2020 elections. According to a statement issued to the press yesterday, the developer had entered into an agreement of sales with NISIL on February 5, 2020. The developer was keen to point out that it looks forward to working with NISIL and the government of Guyana towards achieving their development goals. American Marine Inc. is now the fourth company to return lands to the PPPC administration. In other news, Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa yesterday received Chilean Ambassador Patricio Becker at his Regent Street office for a courtesy call, during which the minister expressed the desire to learn from Chile's expertise. The government said that while Ambassador Becker offered imports of fruits and other commodities to Guyana, Minister Mustafa said that Guyana is in the process of developing its agriculture sector. He pointed to areas for agricultural investment in Guyana for Chilean companies, noting that there would be the need to commit to local content. The minister also expressed the desire to collaborate with Chile in the area of food safety. Let's tell you now that the deputy CEO of GCOM, Roxanne Myers, was yesterday arrested after she turned herself in at the CID headquarters at Ivleri in the company of her lawyers. This happened less than 24 hours after it was made public that Myers was wanted by the police force for questioning in relation to the investigation into the alleged fraud of the March 2nd elections. We contacted attorney-at-law Nigel Hughes, who is one of the lawyers representing Myers. Hughes said that his client was arrested for obstructing the course of justice. You are tuned in to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM, and this is your News at Noon that comes to you with the compliments of Rasna Drink Mix. Coming up after the break, asphalt plant corruption probe to finish in months' time. Gary Best, dangerous driving trial commences. Housing Ministry says beware of scammers pretending to sell house lots for $100,000 and captured fugitive charged for 2015 murder of taxi driver. Meanwhile, Digicel and e-networks welcome liberalization of telecom sector. Stay tuned to stay informed. Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Minister of Public Works Juan Edgil yesterday appointed a high-level team to investigate the allegations of corruption and misappropriations in the reselling of the government's asphalt and their connection to staffers under the ministry. Notably, this team is set to complete their investigations within a month's time, according to a statement. The ministry's probe into the asphalt plant's misappropriations stemmed from reports in late September. That article had highlighted that contractors would get asphalt at huge discounts under a scam that stretched all the way to the Ministry of Public Works. In other news, former Guyana Defense Force Chief of Staff Gary Best's trial for his dangerous driving charge commenced yesterday in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts before Magistrate Rondell Weaver. The charge is in relation to the death of national cyclist Jude Bentley, who was killed in February of this year. After 3 witnesses testified, they were subject to be cross-examined by attorney-at-law Nigel Hughes, who is representing Best. Magistrate Weaver then adjourned the matter to Thursday, October 8, 2020. Best was slapped with 2 charges, driving under the influence of alcohol and causing the death of the national cyclist. On his first court appearance, he was released on $500,000 bail. And moving on, the Ministry of Housing and Water is advising the public to be aware of scammers who are pretending to sell house lots for $100,000. According to a press release, the scammers are contacting persons via telephone and pretending to be the Minister of Housing and Water, Honorable Colin Crowell, saying that he is allocating house lots to single parents in Providence, Lusignan, and Derry. The ministry noted that it would like to make it pellucidly clear that no land allocation is made directly from the minister's office, but that the allocations are made by the CHMPA using the prescribed procedures established by the agency. It cautioned persons against participating in any unlawful transactions, which will only result in loss. In other news, Sheldon Collins Abram, the prime suspect in the 2015 murder of Crane taxi driver, 55-year-old Colin Clark, was on Monday last charged for the offense and remanded to prison. Clark and his car had disappeared on Friday, November 27, 2015. A week later, on December 3rd, his partially decomposed body was found beneath a bridge at Iflut, West Coast Demerara. Police had identified his alleged killer as Abrams of Lot 6 Supply, Mahaica, East Coast Demerara. Abrams, according to a police report, had managed to evade lawmen for some years until he was finally captured on September 28, 2020 at Madia. Let's tell you now that Digicel and locally owned operator eNetworks have expressed their delight with and welcomed the government's move to liberalize the telecommunications sector, thereby ending the 30-year monopoly by GTT. Both operators highlighted that with the completion of the protracted process, it now paves the way for the delivery of advanced ICT and communication services, 2 features that GTT heavily lacked in. Meanwhile, with the death of its monopoly, GTT says it wants to renew its commitment to technology advancement for its customers. Yesterday, Prime Minister Mark Phillips handed over operational licenses and accompanying documents to Digicel, eNetworks, and GTT. And now for your COVID-19 updates. The number of worldwide coronavirus cases, according to Worldometer, has reached 36,154,441, with deaths at 1,056,341. Recovery cases has reached 27,215,342. Locally, the Ministry of Health has recorded 2 more deaths due to COVID-19, taking the death toll to 95, and just shy of the 100 fatality mark. The latest fatalities are that of a 55-year-old and a 67-year-old, both males, from Region 4. Jury trials have recommenced at the Georgetown Supreme Court under strict COVID-19 guidelines. Jury trials had been suspended by the courts since June of this year due to the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus, putting a number of criminal trials on hold. The decision to restart trials by jury was taken last month, in keeping with the laws to preserve the right of the accused to a fair trial. And coming from CNN, President Trump has ordered his negotiators to halt talks with Democrats over a new COVID-19 stimulus package. Over the two sides struggled for months to reach a deal. Trump, meanwhile, continues to recover at the White House from COVID-19. Half of U.S. states are reporting increased COVID-19 cases. Some leaders are now pushing new measures. Meanwhile, the wealth of the world's billionaires reached a new record high in the middle of the pandemic as a rebound in tech stocks boosted the fortunes of the global elite. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. The news came to you with the compliments of Rasna Drink Mix. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225